What if you had one magical wish? What would you wish for? Money, power, fame? Would you want to travel the world to show off to your friends? Or would you buy the biggest house on the block? God appeared to King Solomon and said,
"What do you want? Ask and I'll give to you."
King Solomon said, "I want wisdom." Thus Solomon's wisdom exceeded the wisdom of all the men of the East and all the wisdom of Egypt. 1 Kings 4 verse 30. Each year Solomon received about 25 tons of gold. 1 Kings 10:14. In this video I'll explain the 3 ways how King Solomon's wisdom allowed him to conquer the world. And stay till the end because the last one will shock you. So number 1, every nation honored him. Let's turn to 2 Chronicles chapter 9 verse 22 to 24. So King Solomon surpassed all the kings of the earth in riches and wisdom. And all the kings of the earth sought the presence of Solomon to hear his wisdom, which God had put in his heart. Each man brought his present, articles of silver and gold, garments, armor, spices, horses, and mules, at a set rate year by year. I want you to notice in the beginning of the verse it says, all the kings of the earth sought the presence of Solomon to hear his wisdom. This means that everyone wanted to be in the presence of Solomon. It says all the kings of the earth. So that means every nation, every kingdom wanted to be with Solomon, They all wanted to be with him. They all wanted to spend time with him. They all wanted to be around him to hear his wisdom, to hear his wise teachings. And so all the nations of the earth pursued after Solomon to learn about him and to learn from his wisdom. I want you to notice at the end of the verse it says, each man brought his present, and in the end it says, set rate year by year. This means that Solomon was so valued that he had a set price if people wanted to meet him, If people wanted to meet him, they had to bring him presents, they had to bring articles of silver and gold, garments and all those things, just so they could meet him. So this shows how valued that Solomon was, that, all the nations honored him, all the nations wanted to be with him, and also that in order for them to be with him, how he made them just give a set rate year by year. If you're enjoying this video, make sure to subscribe to this channel for more supernatural Christian content like this. So the second way King Solomon's wisdom allowed him to conquer the world was that he had wealth and influence. Let's turn to 2 Chronicles chapter 9 verse 14. And all the kings of Arabia and governors of the country brought gold and silver to Solomon. And I want you to notice how all the kings were required to give gold to Solomon. Because Solomon has so much wealth, it allowed him to amass a large amount of wealth from so many people. Just like how we read earlier in 1 Kings chapter 10 verse 14, it says that each year Solomon received about 25 tons of gold. And this shows how wealthy Solomon was in his kingdom. Now let's turn to 2 Chronicles chapter 9 verse 26. So he reigned over all the kings from the river to the land of the Philistines as far as the border of Egypt. So this shows how much influence Solomon had. Because he had so much influence, it said that he reigned over all the kings from all the way to the edge of the river to the border of Egypt. This shows the great influence Solomon had because he was even reigning over other kings. Because of wisdom, he was elevated to a position so high that he even had kings under him. And this shows how great and how big his kingdom was because of the wisdom that God gave him. And the third way how King Solomon's wisdom allowed him to conquer the world was that his fame spread all over. Did you know wisdom can make you famous? Usually we associate famous people with people who are very rich or people who are very talented. But as you will read in 2 Chronicles chapter 9 verse 5 to 6, how wisdom made Solomon very famous. She exclaimed to the king, everything I heard in my country about your achievements of wisdom is true. I didn't believe what was said until I arrived here and saw it with my own eyes. In fact, I had not heard the half of your great wisdom. It is far beyond what I was told. I want you to notice how, because of King Solomon's wisdom, how the Queen of Sheba and our entire land were talking about King Solomon. Because King Solomon was so wise, how everyone around him, even people in a distant country were talking about how wise King Solomon was. So his fame spread throughout the entire land. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to click the video on the screen for more content like this.